My name is Jennifer Thompson, and my business is Fascinos Bridal and Formal Attire. I'm originally from Bronx, New York, went to college for fashion design. I also worked in New York City in fashion design. The main thing I can notice right off the bat with the training, it's helped with the hiring process, how to motivate people, and really the most important to me, I think, was learning how to do a website. Learning how to put a website together, learning how to optimize the website, learning how to blog, learning social media, because we had an old school website and I think we got maybe 50 hits a month. And then once we improved our website, our optimization, we started getting more calls and more calls. And I think our highest number so far has been up in 3,000s. And I think that gets more phone calls, more people walking in the door, obviously more customers to us that we can speak with and, sell our product. I believe that the training that you get here is probably going to be the best money spent. You could go take courses, you could read books on these things, you could learn a lot that way, or you could do it right here, all in one place, and save yourself a lot of time and money. So you don't know anything in the beginning when you start a business, and you really need to know as much as you possibly can to make your business thrive.
My name is Stockdahl. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I do graphic design and marketing. Honestly, this is not my first time coming here, but there was just so much information that I had to come back and had to get more, because it's just, you can always be learning more, and this is just like a giant overflowing bucket of knowledge. I think one of my favorite things that I've learned so far are the systems, the proven systems that get you there every time, no matter what your business is. I think that's really incredible that something like that exists. I love this workshop. I love what it's turned into. It's so intimate, and yet there's enough people here that the energy is really great. It's just a really wonderful overall experience. Oh my goodness, Clay's presentation training style is hilarious. He's always telling a joke. He's always keeping you on your toes. You never know what he's gonna say next, and that's what makes it really interesting and exciting. The atmosphere here is amazing. It's so energized. Everyone is just so ready to go, ready to learn. It's really fantastic. I think it's really unique in that you're dealing with a smaller group of people. You're not having to deal with all of these upsells. Like it's so unique in that, where you don't have to spend money to learn things. You don't have to buy 100 books to learn things. You're missing out on the experience of a lifetime, I kid you not. It's amazing. You learn so much, you walk away feeling energized, you feel inspired, and you have actual action items that you can use to grow your business.
My name's Adam Stockdahl. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I heard about it from my wife. She's done some business with Clay in the past. I never thought Thrive 15 was a scam. The website built good credibility, and know Clay from previous business deals. So what I've learned about marketing from this seminar would be to pick a couple things and really dive deep on, instead of just trying to get involved in everything. Things that necessarily sound good, a lot of people are doing, but it's not necessarily right for your business. Thrive 15 World Headquarters is, I think, best as Clay describes it, as a Disneyland for entrepreneurs. So you have all these resources, like all the parks in Disneyland. There's something for everybody, and whatever you want to focus on with your business is a resource here for you. Clay's presentation and teaching style is energetic, engaging, humorous. It's not one of those you sit here and you're bored for 6 hours. Time really flies, and you get a lot out of it. What makes the Thrive 15 conference different than a lot of other conferences is the one-on-one engagement. You're in a room with 30, 40 other people, but everybody has a turn to get involved, ask questions on an individual level, and really make sure they get what they came here for. The Thrive 15 conference is unlike anything else in the market right now, because what it does is it allows you to come in and get specifically your questions answered, whereas other conferences, they just want to give you the specific knowledge they have. Here's our book, go read it, as opposed to let's get your specific issue taken care of. Thrive 15, what it's for, it's an all-inclusive package. So you come in, you pay your money, you get in, but you don't have to buy anything else. There's other services available, but as far as this conference goes, you can just walk in, walk out, no extra money, and make 10 times what you paid on this conference, no problem. Thrive 15 conference, they really focus on answering specific questions relating to your business. No matter your business, they can help you out, and there's no upselling. You can come in for a couple days, or you can stay for months and learn something new every day.
On today's show, We are interviewing the legendary former key Apple employee turned venture capitalist, best-selling author, chief evangelist for Canva, and Mercedes-Benz. It is none other than my brother from another mother, Mr. Guy Kawasaki. And on today's show, Guy shares why he believes that the secret of his success is his ability to outwork people. Why he believes that there are two fundamental functions in life. Somebody has to make it, and somebody has to sell it. Why he believes that getting the crap beat out of him while attempting to sell diamonds at a jewelry store was key to his professional development. Why he believes that surrounding yourself with a network of great people is key to creating great opportunities. Why he believes that if you have a great resume, you can't hide behind it. And why he believes if you don't have a great resume, why you can't use that as an excuse. Why he lived in perpetual fear of Steve Jobs, but yet he wouldn't trade those days for anything. Why he believes that real entrepreneurs ship a product and then test it based upon actual market feedback. Why he believes that you shouldn't waste your day checking emails. How he decides what projects to work on. And why at Apple, the employees wore shirts that read, "Working 60 hours per week and loving it." And why his personal mantra is to empower people like you. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Guy Kawasaki.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we have the legendary, the iconic man with the plan, Mr. Guy Kawasaki. Welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
That's quite an intro.
I've been working on that for about 14 hours in a row now, so I feel I'll try again if I need to. Welcome on to the show, sir.
Oh, thank you. I can tell already it's going to be a fun day here.
Yes. Now, okay. Now, your career deserves. You could have 15 shows about you, but I tried to distill to break down today's questions into the ones that I think will impact our audience the most. So let's go back to college, and you're selling jewelry.
Yeah.
Could you talk about selling jewelry and how that job helped you?
Yeah. So I was in the MBA program at UCLA, which was a 4-day-a-week program, and I needed money and had an extra day. So I started working for a jewelry manufacturer in downtown LA where I counted diamonds.
Really?
And yeah, literally counted diamonds. And later, when I graduated from the MBA program, I went to work for that jewelry company instead of Wells Fargo or McKinsey or Goldman Sachs, unlike my classmates.
Yeah.
And I became eventually the vice president of marketing and sales for this company. And so I had to go and sell jewelry to jewelry retailers around the world.
Mm.
And I have to tell you, that was great training because, in my humble opinion, there are 2 fundamental functions in life. Somebody has to make it and somebody has to sell it. So if you can do one of those 2 things, you will always be okay.
Did you have a specific book or a specific mentor or a specific method that you learned that allowed you to become good at sales? Because most people by default are not very good at sales, and then everything else begins to fail when you can't sell anything. How did you become a sales master?
Basically, I got the crap beat out of me. I mean, I think that's the way. In a sense, well, to take the sort of more intellectual extreme of that, if you go to work for Procter and Gamble, and you're selling Tide and Bold and whatever they sell, Swiffers, and you're calling on supermarkets, I would think that you're getting the crap beaten out of you.
True.
And that is very good training because you really learn to sell and you learn empathy and you learn to work hard, and none of this kind of. I created a website and I did a sex tape, and now I'm a internet influencer.
You know, I got to cross that off my list because
Yeah.
I was telling the guys, I said, guys, if we could just get a sex tape made, and this is what they said to me. And I said, guys, that could have been our move, but you're saying that's not the move.
No, keep your day job, bro.
Okay, we're moving on here. Now, you then somehow landed at Apple. And for the listeners who haven't read your books and followed you and cyberstalked you like myself, can you explain how you went from the jewelry store to Apple?
Nepotism.
Nepotism.
Nepotism is when you hire a friend or a family. So I went to school with a guy named Mike Boych, and he eventually hired me into Apple where he was. So I had the wrong educational background, psychology. I had the wrong work experience, counting diamonds, to go to work for Apple. It was pure and simple nepotism. And, in my book, Wise Guy, I talk about this story, and there's a lesson there. And the lesson there is, number one, make friends in college.
Right, okay.
Number two is, you may not have the perfect background, but don't let that stop you. So the key is to get in, and once you get in, to work your ass off and succeed. So it's not how you got in. It could be, your father's connections, your mother's connections. It could be your classmate. Doesn't matter how you get in. It just matters what you do once you get in. And there's a corollary to that. The corollary to that is, let's say you had the world's greatest background, right? So you went to Dartmouth and Yale, and you worked for Goldman Sachs. You're just perfect on paper. You had a 4.2 GPA, Phi Beta Kappa, just everything.
Yeah, just everything.
Right? So you get this job, and guess what? The next day, nobody gives a if you went to Harvard or Dartmouth or Yale or Stanford, or you had a 4.2 or whatever. You either produce or you don't produce. So that's a very valuable lesson that, if you have this perfect background, you can't live off of it. If you don't have a perfect background, it doesn't matter if you work your
in your book, Wise Guy, you talk a lot about your experience working at Apple, and I'd just like for the listeners to hear it from you. Did they hire you as their leading diamond purchaser, seller, or what did you do at Apple when you started?
Well, my nepotistic friend hired me. We went out and evangelized Macintosh to software companies and hardware companies. So our job was to take a pre-release computer with no install base and very few tools, very little documentation, and convince companies to write Macintosh software and create Macintosh hardware.
So you started there through nepotism in this position. You're evangelizing. How often did you interact with Steve Jobs?
As little as I could.
Okay, that's fair.
Well,
that's fair.
He was 2 or 3 layers above me. It was a small division though, so we'd ran into each other. But I can't tell you that I was in his inner circle. And it's not clear to me being in his inner circle is safe. So he was a very challenging, perfectionist kind of person. I lived in fear of him. But I would not trade those days for anything.
You've done talks, so I've seen video interviews or video presentations where you've talked about some of the things you've learned from Steve. You talked about these 12 pivotal lessons you've learned from Steve Jobs. Could you talk about his personality a little bit? Because there's movies made about him where there's like the Ashton Kutcher movie, there's kind of like the happy one, and then there's the Walter Isaacson book he did with Steve, which I enjoyed. What was the personality like of Steve Jobs?
Well, basically all those movies and books are kind of accurate. I mean, to some extent, and so there may be some factual issues and all that, but he kind of was what he was, and he was a perfectionist. He didn't exactly mince his words. You could say that he didn't really care about people's feelings. That sounds more negative than it is, because There are some people who don't care about people's feelings because they're just 24 karat, orifices, right? There are other people that it's just not on their radar. They just don't think about other people's feelings. It's not part of their operating system to consider other people's feelings. They just blurt out the truth, or they blurt out their opinion. Whereas there are other people who are trying to drill you into the ground. And Steve it was just not in his operating system. He just was what he was. Truly the first WYSIWYG CEO.
Well, in my shameless attempt to help you sell your book, Wise Guy here, in your book, you talk about these 12 pivotal lessons. I'd like for you to share 3 of them. That way the listeners are going to say, I can't stand it. I've got to buy the Wise Guy book today. So let's talk about one of these pivotal lessons here. Value is different from price. What does that mean?
Yes. Well, in the case of Apple, no one ever bought anything from Apple because it had the lowest list price. If you just compare apples against apples, no pun intended, for performance, screen size, et cetera, Apple products are never the cheapest. You never buy an Apple product on price. You do buy an Apple product on value. So value considers other things besides the simple dollar amount. It considers ease of use, ease of conversion, coolness, all those other things, lack of the need for IT support, all this kind of thing. So when you buy a Macintosh, it's because you're going to get up to speed faster, you're going to have better results, and you're going to have less support. So is it more expensive when you buy it? Yes. But over the course of a lifetime, will it give you more value? Also, yes.
Have you ever used a PC? Is it unethical in your mind to use a PC? Have you ever used a PC?
I used one about 6 years ago for about 30 seconds, I remember. But generally, I never, ever use a PC.
Never used. Okay, that's one I wanted to ask you, because these are the tough questions the Thrivers want to ask you. Now, you have started saying, I've seen a few talks where you've talked about this, and then in your book, Wise Guy, you talk about this. You say, real entrepreneurs ship. Do you remember when you first started talking about this idea publicly?
Do I remember when? I don't remember what I did yesterday, man.
I feel like you've been saying that, though, for about a decade, haven't you? I mean, because it's easier to see what you've been saying on YouTube now than it was, before YouTube. But
yeah. So, but what I mean by that is, I meet with a lot of entrepreneurs, and they've been in their garage or in their bedroom, and they've been noodling with this idea and tinkering around for years. And they're waiting for, I don't know what they're waiting for. They're waiting for the perfect product with the perfect market, with adequate funding and no competition. And that just does not describe the real world. And so real entrepreneurs, they ship and then they test. So you ship a Macintosh 128K. It doesn't have enough RAM. The chip's too slow. The monitor is monochrome. There's not enough software. There's lots of flaws with what you ship. But once you ship, that's when the real work begins. And that's also when you truly know what you have to do. Because you can sit in your dark cave in your mother's house and, cogitate about what will be necessary for your product. But the moment you ship, harsh reality slaps you in the face.
I don't expect you to have done extensive research on me, but one of the companies I started back in the day out of my dorm room at Oral Roberts University was DJconnection.com.
Yeah.
And before I sold it, we were doing about 4,000 weddings a year. And I thought
4,000 weddings a year?
80 a weekend. Yeah, it's the largest in the country. And I was cogitating. I was thinking, you know what? I am going to build this awesome club DJ company. Now, I found out quickly at the age of 18 is that you're not going to be very wealthy unless you're like a Calvin Harris or a DJ Tiesto, because there's just not that many clubs that have that many events that can pay 80 guys to DJ. But weddings are everywhere. And when I went out there and tried to ship, I defined what I thought would work. I acted, and then I had to measure the results and realize I got to refine this entire thing. And that pivot happened like in my first month of marketing, going from a club DJ to a wedding DJ. That is so important. Why do people get stuck on that idea of just defining, but never acting, measuring, and refining?
Well, you probably learned more in the first day
Right.
than you did in the previous year, right? Um, but that's how life is, and so hence the algorithm that real entrepreneurship or so real authorship too. There are people who work for years on a book and they never ship it. Well, you gotta ship it. That's just it doesn't exist unless you ship it.
You decided to at one point leave Apple, and you've done a lot of other ventures throughout your career beyond just your time at Apple. I know a lot of people want to focus there, and there's so much more tapestry in your quilt of a career there. Can you explain why you decided to leave Apple and then what you did between the 87 and 95 period?
There's two versions of why I left Apple.
Okay.
So version one is I left Apple because I truly did believe in the Macintosh software market. I wanted to start a software company and make the big bucks like software entrepreneurs do.
Yep.
So that's the Silicon Valley dream.
Yeah.
Version number two of this is I went to a job review with my manager, and I was up for being a director level person. And director level at Apple at that time meant that Apple bought you a car. And I really wanted Apple to buy me a car. So I go into this job review, and the guy tells me, well, the small developers really love you. The innovative, two guys in a garage, two gals in a garage, a guy and a gal in a garage, they love you.
Oh, yeah.
But Microsoft, Ashton Tate, and Lotus, they don't like you. And so because those three companies are so important and so strategic for Apple, but they don't like you, I'm not giving you your promotion.
Oh, come on.
And I just friggin' hit the ceiling. Because to me, Ashton Tate was making a mediocre product. Microsoft was copying our user interface. And Lotus didn't believe in Macintosh at all. So those three companies should hate me.
Right.
I mean, that was the right thing to happen. And so I went to a friend at Apple who was kind of a peer at that point. And his name was Jean-Louis Gasset. And I said, Jean-Louis, I'm just going to quit, man. I went into this review and they told me that I wasn't being promoted for this reason. And he said, God, don't quit. Don't do anything rash. There's going to be a reorg. You're going to be reporting to me. And the next time you have a review, which is in 6 months, I will make you a director. And he did.
Got it.
And then I quit the next day to start a company.
Oof. Okay, so you now when you quit, I know I was working at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV at the same time while my wife worked at Office Depot and Oral Roberts University to start my first company. Yeah. And I remember when I could finally afford to quit, there's kind of that feeling of like, yes, but I didn't tell my wife first. So she comes home, we're 21 years old, she comes home, she's like, what are you doing home? And I'm like, I quit. What did you do when you quit? I was just sitting there happy as can be, kind of freaking my wife out a little bit. What did you do the day you quit?
Oh, I think the next day I started working on the company that I quit to start. Okay. It was the Macintosh database company.
And tell us about that venture and then what you did after that.
Yeah, so I started a Macintosh database company, and it did okay. It didn't do spectacularly. I stayed there for about 3 years. I kind of didn't get along with the other founders, so I left and I just pursued my bliss for a while as a writer and a speaker. And, I returned to Apple a few years later. I started a venture capital firm. Today, I'm chief evangelist of a company called Canva, which is an online graphics design service that everybody should use to create their graphics.
Canva,
C-A-N-V-A. Mm-hmm. And I'm a Mercedes-Benz brand ambassador. So I get paid to drive a Mercedes. That's a true story.
I want to get into this. I'm going to ask you a really rude question right now. And if you hang up, I'll pick up that you don't like the question. Here's my question. I think you're a brand ambassador for fish oil because you are getting younger every year. Have you seen your face? Your face is getting younger, and I call you on the carpet. Are you a brand ambassador for fish oil?
No, I'm just getting better and better at Photoshop.
Oh, man. How old are you at last count?
I am 64.
It's not possible.
I am 64. Why would I lie?
I'm just saying you look younger all the time. Don't take this the weird way. You're a beautiful man. You're a beautiful man. I think you're using your sex to sell. Some people use sex tapes. You're using your photoshopped face or your fish oil, whatever that is. So now,
what keeps me young is, well, first of all, I have a fantastic wife, But I also, or not but, and I have 4 children, and these children are as young as 13 and as old as 25. So my 13-year-old, who's a seventh grader, he's got, let's see, 2 more years. So and then he has 3 more years, 5. He's probably got 9 or 10 more years, right?
Right.
And so my plan is he graduates from college and the next day I die. That's the plan. So
Now you chapter 7 of your book, The Wise Guy. You wrote in the book Wise Guy, chapter 7. You decided to call this chapter parenting. And very few entrepreneurs, and I'm not ripping on most entrepreneurs, but we've interviewed, the top PR guy on the planet, Michael Levine, and we have Wolfgang Puck on the books. We've got founder Ritz Carlton. And a lot of times you interview people that can really keep the family together. So it's like as they're growing the business, they can also grow the family. They keep it together. And then a lot of times you meet people where it's almost like two diametrically opposed ideas. It's almost like if I'm going to have a great business, my marriage is going to be terrible. And I think you've done both, so in my opinion, you're one of the most successful people we've interviewed. And you said on chapter 7 of your book, you said, parenting has been the most challenging and most rewarding activity of my life. So I would love for you to share, without judgment of our listeners, but where do most people seem to get it wrong with managing a family and keeping that together while keeping a business together?
Man, I'm not going to touch that.
You won't.
Question. Who the hell am I to give you this
Okay,
advice?
let me ask you, why is your family stay together? Is your wife just awesome, or why? Because you seem like you're a very happily married guy, and I just want to know, because I think there's a lot of listeners who want to know that.
Well, my wife is fantastic, and I take our vows very seriously. Listen, I don't want to hold myself up like it's my Charles
You're not
Barkley
doing it.
moment.
You're the most humble man in the world. I'm just saying I'm impressed.
That's not true. I like Charles Barkley. I don't want to be a role model. I just love my kids. I love my family. When I hate traveling. When I'm home, I'm at home, literally in the house. I don't go to an office. So, and when I travel, I travel like nobody else I know. A long visit for any city in the world for me is 24 hours. I have done things like go to Russia for 12 hours, speak, and come back,
Wow.
within 2 days. The whole trip is 2 days. I go to Chicago in the morning, come back that night. I just want to be with my family. I love my family. And we have 4 kids, and they all surf, and I love to surf. So that's what I want to do. I just want to surf.
You and I share a lot of things in common there. I have 5 kids, and I live behind a wall. We call it Camp Clark and Chicken Palace at the Lampoon Lagoon. And I almost never leave except for to go to Atwood's to buy supplies for my silky chickens, and I come back. So I really...
What city do you live in?
Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's the birthplace of tourism. Sod Farm tours are huge this time of year. And I'm just kidding. But we have 17 acres, and we love it in Tulsa. But we really just never I don't like to ever travel at all almost. And in your book, you also talk about email, which I think is a less controversial subject, but your take on it is fairly controversial. So we'll move off the family stuff. You wrote here in your book, Wise Guy, I once lost 400 unanswered emails in my inbox because my email application crashed. Afterward, no one sent a follow-up email asking why I hadn't responded. Later, I lost another inbox and I only had a handful of people follow up. I'd love for you to break this down.
Yeah. So, and what I embraced was when close friends die, and I've had some close friends die, I just take my inbox and throw it away in honor of them. Because I have noticed it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You think everybody's waiting, and half the time, I respond, and the response to the response is, "Oh, I sent you an email. I never thought you'd answer. Thank you for answering." Well, why am I answering email that people don't expect to get answered? Like, why am I making myself crazy? So my message to your listeners is, don't sweat your email. Like, I have right now, I look at my email inbox and it's getting to be a few hundred. I just throw away everything that's older than 30 days. And I figure if if it matters, they're going to write back to me. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
You are a guy who loves your family. You love what you do. You're always smiling. You're a great personality. I know you don't want to be a role model, and I'm not saying you are. You know, maybe we're all looking down and judging you for looking so young all the time. But your book, The Wise Guy, you decided to write this book. It's called Wise Guy: Lessons from a Life. What first inspired you to sit down and write this book?
Royalty.
Royalty. You said, I'm going to make some royalties. That's my move.
That's a joke, man. That's a joke.
I like that. So you're saying, hey, I have a lot of stories. I know people want to hear them. So bang, bang, there we go.
Yeah, more or less, yeah. I wanted to write another book, and I thought, geez, I got enough stories. I just put them together in a book. And listen, this is not my memoir or my autobiography, okay? Because unless you're Nelson Mandela or Mother Teresa or, Martin Luther King, you don't write a memoir. So this ain't a memoir. This is probably many of your listeners have heard of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yeah.
But Chicken Soup for the Soul are short stories from many different people. This is Miso Soup for the Soul. This is just guys' stories about my life and what I learned.
What are you terrible at? I think a lot of people, not our listeners, but they do look up to you and they say, this guy, his name is Guy. He's great, good skin, great wife, great kids, 4 kids. They all surf. What's going on? I just want to be like Guy. But I'd like for you to share, and you don't have to share anything weird, but I mean, what are you terrible at? What do you say, that is the thing I'm not good at? I think that would be very helpful for our listeners.
Surfing is one.
Really? Really? You're not good at it?
Surfing and hockey are 2 of my great passions, neither of which I can do very well. So what I figured out is when you love to do something that you're not good at, it is true love, right? Because anybody can love what you're good at. How many can love what you're not good at? So,
how much hockey do you? How much do you love hockey? I mean, is it like is it your passion?
Well, I have kind of transitioned from hockey to surfing, but I used to play hockey 4 times a week. I mean,
Really?
I loved hockey.
Who is your favorite player?
Yeah, probably Brett Hull.
Really?
All he did was shoot. He's my kind of guy.
Now I want to ask you this question. This is. Did you like Wayne Gretzky? Was he kind of your style? You're out there in California. He was.
Okay, so here's a bizarre thing. So I started playing hockey at 48, and I started surfing at 62, which is few decades too late for each of them. And so when I started hockey at 48, Wayne Gretzky had already retired. I didn't even know who these people were.
Well, I got to tell you a funny Wayne Gretzky story. I only have one Wayne Gretzky story. Yesterday, I'm interviewing Shep Gordon, the famous manager. I'll just tell the listeners out there who don't know. He's managed Sylvester Stallone and Alice Cooper and all these big iconic names. I think it's Wolfgang Puck. So I'm interviewing him. He lives in Hawaii now. And in the background, there's somebody punking him, some guy making noise and just kind of messing with him. And that person was Wayne Gretzky. So he's he's like, Wayne, seriously, I'm doing an interview. So anyway, that was a real thing. So that's kind of funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So you are an intentional guy. I know you're focused on the family. So you're probably focused on simplicity at some level, or, just not spending your time doing things that don't matter. What are the things that you don't do that you think a lot of people you're not judging. I'm just saying, maybe you're talking to me. You're saying, Clay, here are the things that I don't do that a lot of business people think they have to do.
Answer email.
All right, then that's a big thing. That'll save at least an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours a day for somebody. What else?
Well, a slightly different answer. What is the secret to my success is that I am willing to grind it out. I outwork people. And so I'm not smarter than people. I just work harder than people. And that's kind of my story. I just love to work.
So with Canva, which you're a brand ambassador for now and you're involved in, how did you decide that Canva was a good fit for you? And how do you decide, okay, this is a project I want to invest my time in? Because you're going to work hard once you decide, but how do you decide?
Well, the true story with Canva is that I had, and still work with her, a person who helps me with my social media, optimizing my posts, et cetera, et cetera. So this is back 5 years ago now. and she was using Canva to make graphics for my tweets, and she just loved it. So one day, the people from Canva reach out to me over Twitter, suggesting that we talk and meet and all that. And so I got the tweet, and I said to her name is Peggy Fitzpatrick. I said to her, is this the company that you use? Is this the company you're always raving about for graphics? She said, yeah. And I said, well, do you think I should help them? And she said, yeah, you should help them. It's a great company. It's great for making graphics. And so that's how I decided, because there's a lesson there too, which is, listen to people who really do the work. She was really doing the work. She was really at the front line. She knew what was good. So I just listened to her.
We have about 500,000 downloads a month of our podcast from people who, a lot of them want to drive a Mercedes or do drive a Mercedes. So I'd like to ask you, do you have a specific, as the ambassador, as the man who gets paid to drive the Mercedes, do you have a specific make and model that you say that is, boom, that's nice, that's hot?
Well, right now I'm driving an S63. So it's the S-Class, but the bi-turbo, super-duper AMG one of that. However, I will tell you that we just came out with an A series, which is the antithesis of the S series. So the A series starts at about 33 grand, and it's kind of competes with the entry-level BMW, entry-level,
like an
Audi,
Lexus
like an
or
Audi A3.
Okay, yeah.
And there's a part of me that I just jump in a small car, good gas mileage, just like dart around. So that's one. I would, if Mercedes called me up today and said, listen, guy, we want you to swap out cars. What car do you want? I would tell them an A series. And if not, then at the other extreme, there's a Sprinter, which is the ultimate surf mobile. And coming up very shortly is what's called an EQC, which is their basic all-electric mid-size SUV. So that would be, it has like a 220-mile range on the battery, holds 5 SUV size, surfboard racks on the top. That would be the one.
So let me ask you this here. When you're not surfing or recovering from hockey injuries or spending time with your family, how do you spend the first 4 hours of your typical day? Like, what time are you waking up, and what does your first 4 hours look like?
Man, you don't want to know.
I want to know. I want to know now. I want to know the current for the current 4 hours. Then I'd like to go back.
I wake up, and the first thing I do is I look at 3 news services. So there's Google News, Apple News, and Smart News. So I look at these 3 things because I want to see the news. So for my social media, I spend a lot of time curating social media. So I need to find a lot of good stories every day. So I do that. Then I drop off my kid. So where my son goes to school, it's half hour there, half hour back. So okay. Well, back up a second. So I get up at 6:30. About 50% of the time, I make him breakfast. I take him to school, and I come back, and now it's about 8:30. I go to a coffee shop, and I do email and answer social media for the next 2 or 3 hours. Then I go and eat someplace, and then I do another 2 or 3 hours of email and social media. Then I pick up a child or 2, and I come home, and then I do email and social media.
And that's your world right now. That's a daily normal for you.
And that's with me ignoring email. Imagine if I didn't ignore them all.
Now, when you were back in your Apple days, when you're out there just grinding every day as an employee, a member of that team, what was the schedule expectation like when you worked there?
We had a sweatshirt that said working 60 hours a week and loving it. So it was, we were working 60 hours, and we truly did love it. I mean, we were on a mission to change the world, to dent the universe, to make people more creative and productive with a personal computer. It was a great time.
So you loved it, 60 hours a week and loving it. They had a shirt. You all wore the shirt that said working 60 hours a week and loving it.
Yep.
That's awesome. Now, okay. Now, this is my final question that I have for you on today's show.
Okay.
You are come across as a very proactive person. I'm not hyping you up, not building you up as a role model, just saying you come across as a proactive guy. How are you going to spend the next 12 months? What's your vision? What's your goal? Do you have a goal? Do you have a vision for the next 12 months of your life?
Well, for the next couple months, I'm heavily invested in the introduction of this book. So lots of these kind of recordings, lots of trips, lots of signings, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
As a baseline, I'm always trying to evangelize Canva. I'm always making speeches. I make 50 or 60 speeches a year. So I'm traveling, making speeches. I'm evangelizing Canva. A lot of this travel involves Mercedes-Benz or Canva. And then when I'm not doing any of those things, I'm at home with my family and surfing.
Where do you call the home these days?
Northern California.
Northern California, okay. So I think what we're going to do, I think the cost of living is pretty high up there in Northern California.
Yeah.
So I would just say this for the listeners out there. I'm doing a fundraiser, and for as little as, Guy, $2,000 a day, you could feed a Guy Kawasaki. And so the only way we can do that is we have to generate royalties. And the only way we can do that is we got to buy the book. So everybody out there, if you're wise, if you just care about humanity and you want to help support Guy Kawasaki for as little as $2,000 a day, you too could support a Guy Kawasaki. Guy, am I missing something there? Is that about right?
Well, I don't want people to buy the book for that reason. I want you to buy the book because it reflects 30 years of living, 30 years of mistakes, 30 years of working my tail off. And I want you to benefit from my experience so that you can optimize your life. You may be able to avoid the mistakes I made. At the very least, I hope you make different mistakes than I made. And, I have a personal mantra for my life, which is to empower people. So I think this book will empower you to have a better life. And listen, it's not one of these get rich quick, buy my book and you'll be an internet real estate millionaire, driving a Mercedes and, all that kind of stuff. I'm not an infomercial. I'm not a cult figure. I'm not, that kind of guy. These are simple, down-to-earth stories that taught me about life. And I think that they can apply to almost anybody's life.
And what's the number one way where if people love today's show and they say, I want to learn more about you, is there a particular website you want to direct them to or a Twitter handle? I mean, obviously people can Google you, but is there a specific place where you say, that right there is me at my best? Go there.
Until you said me at my best, I had an answer for you.
Oh, sorry. You at your normal self.
If you want to see what I'm into and what I'm doing and, how I'm trying to change the world and, whatever, it's probably my LinkedIn account. So I post a lot on LinkedIn. So that's sort of my serious side. My playful, real life, behind the scenes side is Instagram. So between Instagram and LinkedIn, you will truly get insights into who I am. And I'm warning you right now, that's for better or for worse.
Well, Guy, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here on the show. I cannot express with words how much excitement there was for the whole Thrive community to have you on, myself included. It means the world to us.
Well, thank you. It's, I just love doing these. I mean, you get to let it rip on these things. I just love this. So thank you for having me.
Chup, there are so many knowledge bombs per capita on this show.
It was unbelievable.
And we have a lot of listeners out there that are note takers, and they kind of they tune into the Thrive Time show, radio show, or podcast because they're looking for practical action steps that they can take as a result of what they've just learned. In your mind, what are the most practical action steps, or what is a practical action step that the listeners can take as a result of today's show?
I really like when he talks about just ship your product or service or whatever you're sitting there mulling on and going over and over and over and suffering from what we call paralysis by analysis. Just launch that thing. Define, act, measure, and refine. Get going. Don't sit around. Don't wait. The perfect time, the perfect situation is never going to happen. Act now.
I have, I think, 5 or 6 action items that I got out of this interview that are powerful. So I'm just going to recap them.
Let's do it.
The first is Guy said that he believes the secret of his success is his ability to outwork people. And I have found that when you are around enormously successful people, you will notice that they are the first person at the office.
The grind is real.
And I think that people think that the most successful people are the last person to the office. But that is almost never the case.
Right.
Until the person who achieved massive success wants to hit the easy button, then they no longer want to be there, which I think would be where Dr. Zellner is.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
That guy was the first guy to the office every single day.
7 days a week.
7 days a week, working forever. And now he said, I want to hit the easy button.
Yep.
So he still manages his companies and pulls the weeds when needed, but he's not the first guy in the parking lot. But again, people are so interested in the success, achievement, the winning of the marathon. Very few people are interested in the daily regimen and routine needed to win the marathon.
But that's what you have to do.
And I know that our listeners are exclusively focused on the daily routines, the practical tactics, the techniques, the processes that people use to become successful. So action step number 1 is outwork everybody, including your competition. 2, I really do believe that everyone has to learn sales. And if you're out there trying to avoid sales, he said that working at the jewelry store and getting the crap beaten out of him was powerful for him. He said that is what taught him how to sell. And he said that there are 2 essential functions out there. Function number 1 is you have to make something that people want to buy. And function number 2 is you have to be able to sell it. And as long as you can make something that people want to buy or sell it, then you win the game of life.
Good. That's right. And this isn't just theory. That is like the first or second place anybody that gets hired on at the Thrive Time show starts is on the phones learning how to do sales.
He also said you can't just coast based on your resume.
Yes.
Nor can you let your lack of a resume serve as an excuse. At the end of the day, you get paid based on the results that you deliver. You get paid based upon the value that you deliver per hour, as opposed to just the amount of hours you work.
He said you either produce or you don't produce. It's that simple.
Think about that. As an entrepreneur, you get paid based upon the value that you deliver to each hour, not based on the number of hours that you work. And that is an interesting idea. He also said that he lived in perpetual fear of Steve Jobs. He said that he loved Steve Jobs, and he wouldn't trade those days in for the days he spent working with Steve for anything. But he also was very clear, very transparent that he and most people were afraid of Steve Jobs.
Yes.
And I would say that this is the relationship that most bosses should have with their team, and this is the relationship that you, the listener, and I, the host, should have with God.
Yeah.
It talks about in the Bible a lot having a healthy fear of God.
Fear and respect.
Right. And I think respect and fear are very tied together.
Yes.
And you want your employees to love you and respect you, and you want them to like you. But at the end of the day, if your employees ever get to a place where they think that they are unfireable, you will lose. He also believes you shouldn't waste your day checking emails. He says you shouldn't waste your day checking emails.
So good.
And he also says, we talked about the F6 life, faith, family, finances, fitness, friendship, and fun. And I asked him what his goals were for the year, and he said, I want to surf.
Big time.
With his kids.
That's right.
All his
All
kids
four
are
of them surf, and that's
right.
what he's into.
So again, if you're out there today, there's so much knowledge you can glean out of today's show. And if you laughed or learned anything during today's show, I would encourage you to share it with a friend on Facebook, maybe Instagram, maybe Twitter. Text somebody a link.
Text them the link to the thrivetimeshow.com, thrivetimeshow.com.
And Chuck, you know this because listeners have told us this. They've said, guys, honestly, I don't ever share a show unless I share it within a couple minutes after listening because I get busy and I forget.
It's okay. It's what happens, right? That's what happens.
And so I would just encourage you to, if today's show impacted your life in some capacity, think about who in your life needs to hear today's show. And share it with them via text or email as soon as possible. Share it with them on social media because this message, the messages on today's show, the only reason we do this is to help mentor millions. And there's somebody out there that needs to hear what Guy Kawasaki taught today. So share it with them today because you never know whose life you could impact.
Do it now. Take action.
And Chuck, without any further ado, we like to end each and every show with a boom.
There we go.
Are you psychologically ready to bring the boom?
Never. I can't be.
Are you physically ready?
Physically ready.
Are you emotionally ready?
Yes.
Are you spiritually ready?
Yes, but not
And what about in a metaphysical way? Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
I was born metaphysically ready.
3, 2, 1, boom! And make sure you purchase the book Wise Guy, written by Guy Kawasaki at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or anywhere that great books are sold.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Morrow. I'm a pediatric dentist. Through our new digital marketing plan, we have seen a marked increase in the number of new patients that we're seeing every month, year over year. One month, for example, we went from 110 new patients the previous year to over 180 new patients in the same month. And overall, our average is running about 40 to 42% increase month over month, year over year. The group of people required to implement our new digital marketing plan is immense, starting with a business coach, videographers, photographers, web designers. Back when I graduated dental school in 1985, nobody advertised. The only marketing that was ethically allowed in everybody's eyes was mouth-to-mouth marketing. By choosing to use the services, you're choosing to use a proven turnkey marketing and coaching system that will grow your practice and get you the results that you're looking for. I went to the University of Oklahoma College of Dentistry, graduated in 1983, and then I did my pediatric dental residency at Baylor College of Dentistry from 1983 to 1985. I established my practice here in Tulsa in 1985.
One of the things that I hear in my world a lot as a business consultant from business owners is they will tell me, Clay, I want you to help me, but my industry is different. And so on today's show, I'm going to introduce you to a wonderful client who's a pediatric dentist. And I also am going to introduce you to a wonderful client who's a real estate agent. And I'm also going to introduce you to a wonderful client who does mortgages, and a wonderful client who's a family doctor, and a wonderful client who trains dogs, and a wonderful client who runs the UPS stores for all of Canada. Then I'll introduce you to a wonderful client who has a massive real estate empire, real estate franchise empire. Then I'm going to introduce you to a wonderful client that sells new homes. Then I'm going to introduce you to a wonderful client who sells insurance, and then a wonderful client who runs a church, and a wonderful client who the wonderful client who sells insurance. I think I mentioned that. A wonderful client that has a research lab. And at the end of the day, you'll discover that if you will follow the proven systems that I will teach you at our in-person workshops or through our one-on-one coaching program, it's like bumper bowling for business. It's like if you're tired of throwing gutter balls and you want to have success, this system will absolutely change your life. It's a step-by-step system. It's a linear workflow. It's going to absolutely change your life. And without any further ado, here is Dr. Morrow sharing about how this system has changed his life and his business's life and the lives of his employees and the growth of his pediatric dentistry. So here we go.
Hello, my name is Charles Kolaw with Kolaw Fitness. Today I want to tell you a little bit about Clay Clark and how I know Clay Clark. Clay Clark has been my business coach since 2017. He's helped us grow from 2 locations to now 6 locations. We're planning to do 7 locations in 7 years and then franchise. And Clay has done a great job of helping us navigate anything that has to do with like running the business, building the systems, the checklists, the workflows, the audits, how to navigate lease agreements, how to buy property, how to work with brokers and builders. This guy is just amazing. He's this kind of guy has worked in every single industry. He's written books with like Lee Cockrell, head of Disney, with the 40,000 cast members. He's friends with like Mike Lindell. He does Reawaken America tours where he does these tours all across the country where 10,000 or more people show up to some of these tours. On the day-to-day, he does anywhere from about 160 companies. He's at the top. He has a team of business coaches, videographers, and graphic designers and web developers, and they run 160 companies every single week. So think of this guy with a team of business coaches running 160 companies. So in the weekly, he's running 160 companies. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's doing Reawaken America tours. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's also doing business conferences where 200 people show up, and he teaches people a 13-step proven system that he's done and worked with billionaires, helping them grow their companies. So I've seen guys from startups go from startup to being multimillionaires, teaching people how to get time freedom and financial freedom through the system. Critical thinking, document creation, putting it into organizing everything in their head to building it into a franchisable, scalable business. Like one of his businesses has like 500 franchises. That's just one of the companies or brands that he works with. So amazing guy, Elon Musk kind of like smart guy. He kind of comes off sometimes as socially awkward, but he's so brilliant and he's taught me so much. When I say that, like Clay is like, he doesn't care what people think when you're talking to him. He cares about where you're going in your life and where he can get you to go. And that's what I like most about him. He's like a good coach. A coach isn't just making you feel good all the time. A coach is actually helping you get to the best you. And Clay has been an amazing business coach. Through the course of that, we became friends. I was really most impressed with him is when I was shadowing him one time. We went into a business deal and listened to it. I got to shadow and listen to it. And when we walked out, I knew that he could make millions on the deal. And they were super excited about working with him. And he told me, he's like, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to turn it down, because he knew it was going to harm the common good of people in the long run. And the guy's integrity just really wowed me. It brought tears to my eyes to see that this guy, his highest desire was to do what's right. And anyways, just an amazing man. So anyways, impacted me a lot. He's helped navigate anytime I've got nervous or worried about how to run the company, or navigating competition and an economy that's like, I remember we got closed down for 3 months. He helped us navigate on how to stay open, how to get back open, how to just survive through all the COVID shutdowns, lockdowns, because our clubs were all closed for 3 months, and you have $350,000 of bills you got to pay, and we have no accounts receivable. He helped us navigate that, and of course we were conservative enough that we could afford to take that on for a period of time. But it was anyways, great man. I'm very impressed with him. So Clay, thank you for everything you're doing, and I encourage you, if you haven't ever worked with Clay, work with Clay. He's going to help magnify you, and there's nobody I have ever met that has the ability to work as hard as he does. He probably sleeps 4, maybe 6 hours a day, and literally the rest of the time he's working, and he can outwork everybody in the room every single day, and he loves it. So anyways, this is Charles Kola with Kola Fitness. Thank you, Clay, and anybody out there that's wanting to work with Clay, it's a great opportunity to ever work with him. So you guys have a blessed one. This is Charles Kola. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Aaron Antis with Shaw Homes. I first heard about Clay through a mortgage lender here in town who had told me what a great job he had been doing for them, and I actually noticed he was driving a Lamborghini all of a sudden, so I was willing to listen. In my career, I've sold a little over $800 million in real estate. So honestly, I thought I kind of knew everything about marketing and homes. And then I met Clay, and my perception of what I knew and what I could do definitely changed. After doing $800 million in sales over a 15-year career, I really thought I knew what I was doing. I've been managing a large team of salespeople for the last 10 years here with Shaw Homes. And I mean, we've been a company that's been in business for 35 years. We've become one of the largest builders in the Tulsa area, and that was without Clay. So when I came to know Clay, I really thought, man, there's not much more I need to know, but I'm willing to listen. The interesting thing is our internet leads from our website has actually, in a 4-month period of time, has gone from somewhere around 10 to 15 leads in a month to 180 internet leads in a month. Just from the few things that he's shown us how to implement that I honestly probably never would have come up with on my own. So I got a lot of good things to say about the system that Clay put in place with us, and it's just been an incredible experience. I am very glad that we met and had the opportunity to work with Clay. So the interaction with the team and with Clay on a weekly basis is honestly very enlightening. One of the things that I love about Clay's perspective on things is that he doesn't come from my industry. He's not somebody who's in the home building industry. I've listened to all the experts in my field. Our company has paid for me to go to seminars, international builder shows, all kinds of places where I've had the opportunity to learn from the experts in my industry. But the thing that I found working with Clay is that he comes from such a broad spectrum of working with so many different types of businesses that he has a perspective that's difficult for me to gain because I get so entrenched in what I do, I'm not paying attention to what other leading industry experts are doing. And Clay really brings that perspective for me. It is very valuable time every week when I get that hour with him. From my perspective, the reason that any business owner who's thinking about hooking up with Thrive needs to definitely consider it is because the results that we've gotten in a very short period of time are honestly monumental. It has really exceeded my wildest expectation of what he might be able to do. I came in skeptical because I'm very pragmatic, and as I've gone through the process over just a few months, I've realized it's probably one of the best moves we've ever made. I think a lot of people probably feel like they don't need a business or marketing consultant because they maybe are a little bit prideful and like to think they know everything. I know that's how I felt coming in. I mean, we're a big company that's definitely one of the largest in town. And so we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing. And I think for a lot of people, they let their ego get in the way of listening to somebody that might have a better or different perspective than theirs. I would just really encourage you, if you're thinking about working with Clay, I mean, the thing is, it's month to month. Go give it a try and see what happens. I think in the 35-year history of Shaw Homes, this is probably the best thing that's happened to us, and I know if you give them a shot, I think you'll feel the same way. I know for me, the thing I would have missed out on if I didn't work with Clay is I would have missed out on literally an 1,800% increase in our internet leads. Going from 10 a month to 180 a month, that would have been a huge financial decision to just decide not to give it a shot. I would absolutely recommend Clay Clark to anybody who's thinking about working with somebody in marketing. I would skip over anybody else you were thinking about, and I would go straight to Clay and his team. I guarantee you're not going to regret it, because we sure haven't.
My name is Danielle Sprick, and I am the founder of D Sprick Realty Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. After being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years and my 3 kids started school and they were in school full-time, I was at a crossroads and trying to decide what do I want to do? My degree and my background is in education, but after being a mom and staying home and all of that, I just didn't have a passion for it like I once did. My husband suggested real estate. He's a home builder, so real estate and home building go hand in hand, and we just rolled with it. I love people, I love working with people, I love building relationships, but one thing that was really difficult for me was the business side of things. The processes and the advertising and marketing. I knew that I did not have what I needed to make that what it should be. So I reached out to Clay at that time, and he and his team have been extremely instrumental in helping us build our brand, help market our business, our agents, the homes that we represent. Everything that we do is a direct line from Clay and his team and all that they've done for us. We launched our brokerage, our real estate brokerage, 8 months ago. And in that time, we've gone from myself and one other agent to just this week, we signed on our 16th agent. We have been blessed with the fact that we right now have just over 10 million in pending transactions. 3 years ago, I never would have even imagined that I would be in this role that I'm in today, building a business, having 16 agents. But I have to give credit where credit's due, and Clay and his team and the business coaching that they've offered us has been huge. It's been instrumental in what we're doing. Don't ever limit your vision. When you dream big, big things happen.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school. I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.
Hey, Clay Clark and my Thrive peeps. It's Steve Currington, as you can tell. Although I'm not wearing my signature green shirt as usual, but I am riding in my signature green Lamborghini. And I just wanted to say how appreciative I am of Thrive and all the guys at Thrive Time and the show and everything that you guys have done. At Total Ending Concepts, we have had tremendous growth and a lot of things changing, especially on the marketing front. And from a coaching perspective and from a web presence and branding, and our internet leads are up. Everything is hammering on all cylinders, and really we're just trying to figure out how we can leverage the systems and the processes that we're learning at Thrive more in our business. So now we're setting up a lead tracking system that has been long overdue, and we're doing lots of stuff. But I wanted to take a minute and say thank you to Thrive and Clay Clark and Dr. Z and everybody for all the help in helping us grow our business and hopefully buy more Lamborghinis like this the more we sell. So appreciate it, guys. See ya.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us.
This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See, it's nice, right?
So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood. This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
So we really just want to thank you, Clay, and thank you, Vanessa, for everything you've done, everything you've helped us with. We love you guys.
Bird, they said it couldn't be done. They said you couldn't fill up the BOK Center. They said it was impossible. But yet if you look, it appears to be full. Oh, we're making America boom again.
Very full.
Very full. Lots of marketing, courtesy of John Kelly and Devin and Darlin and this mind and this hat. So there it is, FD Oilers, sold out, baby.
My name is Taylor Hall. I'm the general manager of the Tulsa Oilers professional hockey team. You know, our goal every night here at the BOK Center is to try to fill the seats with lots of people and create an exciting environment so when somebody comes to a game, they want to come back. Working with Clay and the staff at Thrive, they've really helped us in many, many ways. Website and graphic design and video production and a lot of things that go along. And a lot of businesses, including ours, doesn't have a staff or a full-time videographer or graphic designer. But the biggest thing that we noticed was the needle mover. More sales, more attendance, more successes in business. We had a record year last season working with Clay for the first time. Our average attendance is higher than it's ever been. So there was a lot of really cool things that we did, and they worked. That's the nice thing about working with Clay and the team over there. It's just not one person, you get the entire team. If you need video design and editing and production, they've got that. If you need graphic design, if you need some coaching, your salespeople and call scripts, PR, they offer all that. Clay was instrumental in helping guiding us and getting us on the right track so that we could really raise the bar and become ultra successful. So it's been an amazing experience for us.
My name is Nick Smith and I'm an agency owner with Farmers Insurance. I grew up in a middle-class family all the way up until I was about 13, and then my dad lost his job, and then all of a sudden he was gone and I was being raised by my mom by herself. She was probably making 20 grand a year. In order for me to have a car, I had to pay for the car, I had to pay for the gas, I had to do everything on my own. So the independent thinking had to come early and if I wanted to do anything. A couple of years ago, man, I was stuck in a rut. I really honestly was, and I couldn't see it. Not because I was doing it wrong, it's because I didn't know any better. Rates were not good. Selling was difficult. Staffing was just unbelievably difficult to keep good staff in here. I was having a ton of turnover. And I was about ready to hang it up and sell out. I was just done. And that's about when I got introduced to the concept of the Wheel of Wealth and Thrive. Some of the specific things I've learned about running my business is systems and being organized. Before, I think I just kind of shot from the hip a lot of times. But man, since I started this whole journey, and I've developed systems for each of the employees, but not just the employees, but for the position. So the fear of wondering when I'm gone, wondering if things are being done, I don't have to worry quite as much. Business-wise, finally got over the hump and we're actually growing again, whereas before we were just declining. And now we're back up and we're back over what we were a couple of years ago now. The training is ongoing, even to from where I'm at now. I still feel like I need to get further. The training itself is just, it'll rock your world. It really will change the way you think and look at business. So all those things just kind of culminated into this big, successful business that I feel like I have now. All that stuff has just been life-altering.
Clay's awesome. He's very entertaining, very energized, does some quirky, unique ways to sort of get engagement with the audience. So really pleased to have Clay do our keynote today. Well, I think it was being willing to take some risks on stage, taking some risks relative to how to set the audience up. I think that kind of created this sort of what's going to happen next. And so just that risk-taking sort of created a unique tension that I think ultimately resulted in a great experience. Well, I think Clay would be an awesome presenter for a number of reasons. One, I think the material that he delivers is spot on, but he also can deliver some additional products and services to the organization, even beyond just the things that he does on stage.
My name is David Drucker. I'm the president for UPS Stores Canada, also a member of the AFA board in an honorary position, so kind of a crossover with both sides. I thought it was great. I thought Clay did a wonderful job. I think anytime you're able to get a diverse group together to start finding the commonalities, you're starting to pull the threads together that are going to make something for the future. And I think that was the objective for today, and I think Clay was really able to pull that out. I thought Clay was really good at shifting speeds. He was fast when he needed to be fast, detailed when he needed to be detailed, was able to read the room every so often if we started drifting off too far to the left or too far to the right. He was right there to rudder us back on course. So, I mean, really, I don't think we could have chosen a better guy for the day to lead us.
My impression of Clay was
his energy, and just like the energy that he had on stage, and how passionate he is about his message. And I really felt like I could connect with that because it was very genuine and believable and sincere. And I really appreciate the sincerity of it all. So the lesson nugget is in fact the action nugget. It's like you can think of things all day long, you can read books all day long, you can do whatever you're going to do as far as business planning, but if you don't implement and actually take action, then it doesn't mean anything. It is all about taking the steps and standing up and going forward and engaging in an action activity. Well, what was so different about this is the sense of humor. They're really great sense of humor, very lively, very engaging and interesting. And a lot of presentations, you just kind of sit there and go, oh no. But this was fun. This was fun and interesting and engaging.
Oh, I love Clay. Very funny. You never know, right? With a keynote speaker, you don't know, so you got to kind of open up. He's got a good sense of humor. I like the video at the beginning. It started out perfect. I'm like, oh, great, another speaker that's been to 1 million corporations. I liked it. I like it was really well done. Like the guy's good.
Clay's fantastic. I mean, the guy is hilarious, captivating, kept the room moving. I mean, I love the fact that he got everybody up and moving. The fact that you could get John Tanney up dancing in his seat like that is worth the price of admission right there. Awesome. It just reinvigorates you. You hear somebody talk about how, you put it in systems into your business, how you got to seize the day. I mean, all that stuff is stuff deep down you should be doing, but those reminders help, and it's the right time if you're open to it. I mean, that's what it's all about. Because I'm a product of the 90s, I liked his, Notorious B.I.G. rap a little bit, but I get it, man. He's exactly right. I got a ton of buddies that are sitting around playing PlayStation every day, and they're not studying success, and I think that's the thing. Because to me, the one thing I really take away from that conversation is poverty is our baseline. Everybody knows poverty. You don't need to teach poverty. You need to teach success. And the fact that he said that was like music playing. I think he just is, just really gets our industry. You get a lot of realtors that try and be motivational speakers, but he truly is a motivational speaker. He's a businessman. He's obviously been around the block and, done a lot of things. And I think all of those applications, because real estate at the end of the day is the business of business.
I love Clay. I've known Clay just socially, but I've never heard him speak before. And I was probably most taken by the fact that he was just common in so many ways and made fun of himself, but also brought that aspect of these are my lessons, and these are lessons from some very influential people who all recognize. So probably what I took away from it the most was the Net Promoter Score and the fact that your wow factor from what you provide to your clients really creates that score. And you really have to go the extra mile to bring people to that level of impression. I appreciated Clay's story about his father and the picture with the kids, with the girls. I thought that was very meaningful. And takes the whole thing, the rest of his message and stories and things that he's sharing, and really puts them in perspective for people who are listening. You could tell he enjoys what he does and believes in what he's presenting, and that's a connection with an audience that is more important than the name or even what's being presented. It's real, it's transparent, and it's genuine.
My name is Josh Wilson. I'm the owner of Living Water Irrigation. So I've been working with Thrive since December of 2017. So the biggest changes we've seen as a company is, first of all, just systematically how we do things, how we present things. Our Google presence is phenomenal. Our website's 1,000,000 times better. And just the overall accountability and the process by which we're conducting ourselves. So our biggest win since working with Thrive is we literally, March was a record month for us. It was almost twice as much as our biggest month prior to that. In the last week or so, we've closed about $250,000 worth of business. We still have to go dig a bunch of ditches and get it done, but we signed about $250,000 worth of business with the relationships we built, the things that they've implemented through Victoria and Clay and everybody here at Thrive. So I would recommend Thrive to other business owners simply because they can point out where you're flawed and what you need to work on. You just have to be real and honest with yourself on what you need to improve upon. So that would be first and foremost. And the huge reason why I would do it, because it works. It actually, everything that they said when we came in for our initial meeting to today, absolutely positively has been accomplished.
Just how does an irrigation and sprinkler repair company increase in sales by over 450% in just 1 year? When according to Forbes, 9 out of 10 startups fail and 8 out of 10 existing businesses fail. How can one company grow by 450% in 1 year? Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, it is now time for yet another edition of
Wins of the Week!
Doing the bull dance, feeling the flow, working.
You can do it! We are joined by none other than my brother from another mother, Mr. Josh, the founder of Living Water Irrigation. Mr. Josh, welcome onto the show, my friend. How are you?
I am awesome, Clay. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm excited for the listeners to get to know more about you. Could you share the name of your company, a little bit more about what you guys do at Living Water Irrigation, where the name comes from?
Absolutely, positively. So Living Water Irrigation, the most important part of that to me is John 7:38. So it's mentioned in the gospel a number of times, we're the living water. But our specific scripture that we drew our name from is John 7:38. It says, "Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow through him." We have a very distinct vision as a company on who we are and what we want to do. And I believe that I was put here to go make some money to give it away.
And I'm not going to ask you for the specific details but of your career and how you started the business as far as a linear timeline, but how long has this particular business been around?
We've been around just 2 years, sir.
2 years. And you guys, we first met. How did we first meet?
I came in and y'all started coaching me over the Thrive 15.
And do you remember when that was approximately and how you first heard about us?
So it would have been October or November of 17.
October or November of 17.
Yes, sir.
And in terms of your growth as a company, how much have you grown this year?
So this year we're up 450% year over year.
So now that you're implementing this program, you're getting more calls, right? Are you getting more calls?
Absolutely.
Sales are going up. You're gathering reviews from your real customers, adding content to the website, adding a gallery of work.
So I'm going to actually take a minute and make you really uncomfortable, Clay.
Nice.
So when we started with y'all, it was awesome. We had a little company, just me and one dude and one little van.
Yeah.
And 17 was great. I ate more than ramen noodles, but not much more.
Right.
18 was really good. We started to implement the systems, got Start Here, got the boom book, went to a couple conferences, and said, okay, I'm going to buy in. I'm going to sell out. We went to the coaching, got coached by Marshall and Victoria, and started to implement, as opposed to just listen, to actually be doers. It's in James. It says don't just be hearers of the word, but be doers as well. And so we implemented scripts. We implemented systems. We implemented checklists. We implemented a pro forma for quoting and all these things that you talk about.
Yeah.
And so just as a real person, and I'm real, I promise you, there's a bunch of Josh Wilsons out there.
Yeah.
Like I'm a famous baseball player and football player.
Oh, wow.
And a gospel singer.
Oh, wow.
But this Josh Wilson just digs ditches for a living. But I just want to say thank you. Standing here for all the systems. I encourage everybody out there, go pick up Start Here. Go pick up the boom book. The stuff you hear on this show, it actually sincerely works. It's not just some nonsensical guy sitting in an awesome man cave who's bored so he wants to record a show. And then from there, here's another super duper move for you. Schedule your day.
Oh, wait a second. That right there is a hot tip.
Holy cow!
Schedule your day?
So I was listening just a few months ago, and I was running all over the Tulsa metro area, from Glenpool to Owasso to Broken Arrow, back to Owasso to Jinx to Midtown. And I'm like, man, why am I getting nothing done?
Why am I getting nothing done?
Well, your issue is that you're running those places. You got to drive.
Why am I talking using a megaphone? Back to you.
Well, obviously, I wouldn't have this belly if I was running, Jonathan.
Okay.
So my wife says to me, hey, how was your day, honey? Oh, I worked all day. I did all these things. And I'm like, wait, I have nothing to show that I did anything. So super move number one, you've said it 17,000 times.
Yeah.
Whatever gets scheduled gets done. So now my day is scheduled.
Come on now.
So if it's not on my schedule, nope, doesn't happen.
Listen here. Here's a little secret. You can become successful. You have the tools needed to start and grow a successful company. But you've got to implement the best practice systems. You have to implement the proven systems, checklists, and processes that have been shown to work time and time again. And it is very hard for me to help you implement those systems if we don't get a chance to know you. So if you're out there today and you're saying, I feel stuck, I don't know what to do, I would encourage you to go to thrivetimeshow.com today and watch over 1,000. We have over 1,000 video testimonials from real people just like Josh. Watch those videos and build your faith. Believe that you can actually do this. And then do one of three things. One, you could schedule a one-on-one consultation with me by simply going to thrivetimeshow.com and scheduling that free 13-point assessment. Now, our team is going to vet you, make sure you're not psychologically impaired or your dream is not delusional. Now, move number 2. You could book your attendance at our in-person Thrive Time Show workshop. The tickets are normally $250, but if you want to attend the workshops because maybe you're in a spot right now where financially you're kind of strapped, just subscribe to the Thrive Time Show podcast and leave us an objective review. And after you leave us an objective review, take a screenshot of the review and email it to info@thrivetimeshow.com, and we'll give you tickets for just $37. Or maybe the Thrive Time Show Business School is the right move for you. Maybe it is. Listen, it's only $19 a month. And when you subscribe to the Thrive Time Show Business School, here's what you get. You get access to a massive amount of videos. We have over 3,000 training videos taught by the world's business leaders. You can watch those videos. That alone has tremendous value. Also, you get to attend one in-person workshop per year. Now, if you think about it, if you go to, Harvard, the average graduate debt sits at around $101,000. If you go to Oral Roberts University, let's say you go to Tulsa University, you're going to spend $35,855 per year. If you go to the Harvard Business School, you're going to spend $66,000 per year. If you go to the Wharton Business School, you're going to spend $64,828 per year. If you subscribe to the Thrive Time Show Business School, it's month to month, and it's as little as $19 a month. Check it out today by going to thrivetimeshow.com. And now, without any further ado, we like to end each and every show and win of the week with a boom, because boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. And now, without any further ado, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom! The Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the highest and most reviewed business workshops on the planet. You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business.
Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.